Good afternoon to all. I am Flight Lieutenant Harish, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science, Maharani Lakshmi Ammani College. The topic for today is cryptography and network security. I will be discussing today with the various types of security in the introduction part. I will be also discussing the various types of techniques like cryptography, crypt analysis and stegography. Computer data often travels from one computer to another, leaving the safety of its protected physical surroundings. Once the data is out of hand, people with bad intention could modify or forge your data. It may be for amusement or for their own benefit. So once the data leaves from the computer, we need to secure our data. So there are different security that we can give it to our data. We can give computer security, information security, cyber security as well as network security. When it comes to computer security basically deals with securing a standalone computer's hardware and software. Whereas information security, it protects both physical and digital data from unauthorized access, usage of it, disclosure, disruption, modification, inspection, destruction and recording. So if a company or an organization want to manage the data, it need to take three entities. One, the confidentiality. Second, integrity. Third, availability. Confidentiality. Only in confidentiality, only authorized parties have access to data. Integrity, we need to secure, and we need to secure our data which is accurate and trustworthy. So that becomes the integrity of the data, so that there will be no modification or compromised in any way by any unauthorized parties. Availability, only authorized person or parties can access the information when needed or necessary. Third, we are going to discuss about the cyber security. Cyber security is a subset of information security. It secures individual computers, computer networks and the intercommunication between all the devices in an organization. So usually cyber security is designed in such a way that it protects the organization digital footprint. Third, network security, or fourth, it is a network security. It is a subset of cyber security. Network security protects any data sent through devices in the network to ensure that the information is not modified nor intercepted. Whereas network security protects the organization's IT infrastructure against threats such as virus, spywares, adwares, Trojan horses, worms, hackers, etc. So usually to protect our information, the network security system should include firewalls, antivirus softwares, intrusion detection systems, usually we call them as IDS, intrusion prevention system, we call them as IPS, virtual private networks, we call them as VPNs. So these are the various types of security that we need to check when the data is leaving from one computer to the other computer. So there are various techniques for implementing security mechanism. One of the technique to implement the security mechanism is cryptography. Cryptography means secret writing. It is a science and art of creating secret codes. Cryptographic systems are generally classified along three different dimensions. One, according to the type of operation used for transforming plain text to ciphertext. So here the encryption algorithms are based on two general principles. One, we call it as a substitution. Two, we call it as the transposition. So one is substitution, the second one is transposition. In substitution, each element in the plain text is mapped into another element, whereas in transposition, elements in the plain text are rearranged. The second type is the number of keys used. So here the sender and receiver uses the same key, then it is said to be a symmetric key. Symmetric key can also be called as single key, or it can also be called as conventional encryption. So in this case, usually the sender and receiver both uses the same key. If the sender or receiver uses different keys to encode, then it is said to be public key encryption. So there are two things here in based on the number of keys. Either we can use symmetric key or we can use public key encryption. The third type of cryptography is the way in which the plain text is processed. So usually the plain text can be processed by two different ways. One, we call it as a block cipher. Two, we can process it by stream cipher. In block cipher, usually the block cipher processes the input and block of elements at a time, producing output block for each input block. So for each output block, you will be having separate input block for each output blocks. You will be having separate input block. The second, the stream cipher, it processes the input element continuously, producing output elements one at a time as it goes along. So we are going to discuss crypt analysis. It is exactly the reverse or the opposition of your cryptography. Crypt analysis is the science and art of breaking the code, whereas cryptography is making cryptography means secret writing, whereas crypt analysis means breaking the code. So whatever the code that we have done using cryptography, we are going to break the code using the crypt analysis. There are various types of crypt analysis attack based on the amount of information known to the cryptanalyst. So there can be four different types of attacks that can happen by using the cryptanalyst. One, ciphertext only attack. Two, plain text only or known plain text. Three, we are going to have chosen plain text. Four is chosen ciphertext. So these are the four types of attacks that can happen in cryptanalysis. So in ciphertext only, a copy of ciphertext alone is known to the cryptanalyst. The one who is going to encrypt or decrypt, okay, he will be knowing only the ciphertext only. A copy of ciphertext only is known to him. Using that, he is going to decode the encrypted code. So there are three different types of attacks that can be done if the crypt text is known, if the ciphertext is known. One, we call it as a brute force attack. Two, statistical attack. Three, pattern attack. The second type of attack that can be done is known plain text. In the known plain text, the crypt analyst has a copy of the ciphertext and the corresponding plain text. So he has both the copy. He has ciphertext as well as he will be having the corresponding plain text. By using this, he can attack. He can decrypt. Third, chosen plain text. In this case, the crypt analyst gains the temporary access to the encrypted machine. They cannot open it to find the key if they are not able to open the file by using the key, but they can encrypt a large number of suitably chosen plain text and try to use the resulting ciphertext to deduce the key. The fourth type is chosen ciphertext. Here the crypt analyst obtain temporary access to the decryption machine, uses it to decrypt several string of symbols and tries to use the result to deduce the key. So in this way, in using any of these four techniques, okay, the crypt analyst can decrypt the code which has been encoded by using your cryptographic technique. Cryptography and crypt analysis both together are called as cryptology. Okay, the field of both cryptography and crypt analysis is called as cryptology. The another technique used for securing the data, or the mechanism used for securing the securing technique, is stegography. So stegography means covered writing in Greek. So covered writing in Greek, stegography conceals the message itself by covering it with something else. So there are three different ways stegography can be achieved. 1, by character marking. 2, invisible ink. 3, pin punches. So thank you for the patience that you had